Hello. In this video, we will learn about mixed cell referencing in Excel.
In our earlier lesson, we learned about the two basic ways of cell referencing. One is the relative cell referencing, and the other one is the absolute cell referencing. There's a third type of cell referencing called mixed cell referencing, which is a more advanced form of cell referencing, and it helps you to write fewer formulas and be more efficient when you're writing formula. So let's look at some examples where we might need to use mixed cell referencing and how to use mixed cell referencing. So here we have some numbers going down across like this. So basically we want to write a multiplication table where we multiply 1 by 1, put the value over here, 1 by 2 into here. So it's a multiplication table that we want to construct. If you were to do this using normal formulas, we can type C3 into D2 to get the first multiplication. And if I drag it like this to get the multiplications of ones, if I go to the second question, you see the cell references are moving because they are in relative cell referencing. So we had to go back and fix this. To do that, what we need to do is we can fix this cell number here, C3. So it won't change. So it will always take 1 and multiply by these values like this. So we will fix C3. We can use F4 for that. And then we can copy the formula across. And we get the correct answer. We can do the same thing for 2 multiply into 1. And again, we have to fix this cell reference C4. Then we can copy it across. So this can be done but as you can see, it's very tedious. We have to write 12 formulas and copy them across to get the multiplication table. So there's an easier way to do this by using what is called mixed cell referencing. So let's first delete this and we see how we can do a mixed cell referencing. So we'll write the basic formula here on the first cell, C3 into D2. Now mixed cell referencing is where you don't fix both the letter and the number in a cell reference. For example, you don't fix T and 3 both using the dollar sign. You will only use $1 sign either in front of the C or in front of the number 3. So mixed cell referencing means you only use $1 sign to fix either the letter or the number. So in this situation, let's see what we need to do. If we take C3, this cell reference refers to this one. So when I copy down, do I need this C column to change? When I copy this formula down, do I need C to change? No, because always I'll be referring to C column for the values. But the 3, I can change because when I copy it across and then down, the 3 column, the row number 3 will need to change. So what I can do is I can come here and put a dollar sign in front of the T only. So if I press the F4 key, I can get the dollar signs in front of both the letters and the number. Again, if I press F4 key, see it only puts a dollar in front of the number 3. So this is a mixed cell reference, only $1 sign. Again, if I press F4, I get a dollar in front of the T letter only. So that's also a mixed cell reference. So F4 basically toggles. See, finally, there's no dollar sign. So F4 key toggles between all of the options for the dollar sign. So again, let me press F4 until I get a dollar in front of the T letter only. So I have used a mixed cell reference for the first cell reference. Then what about D2? Here, when I copy this formula down and then across, I have to ask the question, do I need D to change? So D, when I go to these columns, I need it to change, right? But number 2, when I copy it across and then down, it should not be changing because always I'll be referring to values in this second row over here. So what I can do is I can fix that 2 using mixed cell referencing. Again, I will press F4 until I get a $sign in front of the number 2 only. So this is my formula. That's a $C3 into D$2. So this is a mixed cell reference formula. Only the C in the first reference and the 2 in the second reference are fixed. So let me enter that, Control Enter, and I can copy it across like this, and also I can copy it down like this. And see, I have got the multiplication table done using only one formula. But when you do a mixed cell referencing like this and you copy it across to lot of cells, you need to do a double check. So what you can do is you can go to the last cell and check whether that formula is correct. So it's taking 12 from here and multiplying by 12 by here. So if you check the last cell and it's correct, that means the middle cells also should be okay. So 7 into 6. So that formula is also correct. So you are pretty sure now all of the formulas are correct. So always remember to double check by going to the last cell whether the copied formula is correct on the last cell as well. Can do another trick here as well. Rather than doing the formula in and copying it down and across, you can at once enter the formula into all of these cells. So to do that, what you need to do is first select all of the cells like this. And then you can see this cell over here is highlighted. So this is called the active cell. So when you write a formula, it will land first in this cell. So let's write the formula again that we use. So we'll take C3 into D2. And then let's do the mixed cell referencing using the F4 key. And for the second cell also we'll do the mixed cell referencing, F4 key. And then once you have the correct formula in the first cell, you have already selected the area. Now you don't press Enter key, you use the Control and Enter key. So if you press Control and Enter key, see immediately the formula get copied to all of the other cells also. And again, if you check the last cell, the formula is correct. So the Control Enter method that we use to remain inside a cell once you enter a function or the formula, we can use it to copy a formula to a range of cells. So what you do is first type the formula after selecting the cell range and then press Control Enter. So let's look at another example. So these are the rates of a hotel for rooms. So you have the single, double and triple rates over here. And then if you want to go for a garden view, you have an additional $40 charge. If it's a sea view, you got an additional $70 charge. And if it's a seafront view, you got an additional charge of $90. If you want to calculate the total rate, including the upgrades, you can calculate using a formula like this for the first cell. You say D5, and to that you add the additional upgrade amount, $40 for the garden view. So if I want to copy this across, I will need to use the mixed cell referencing. So let's think about the first cell, D5. So D5, here I'm taking the D column is where all the standard rates are. So when I copy it down and then across, I don't want this D to change. So I need to fix that. But the 5, the row number can change. So what I can do is, let me use the F4 and put a dollar in front of the D letter. Then let's take the cell reference E4. Here we see that always the upgrade rates are in the row number 4. But the letter E can change into different columns. So I need to fix the row number 4. So what I can do is I will again use the F4 key and fix the row number 4 like this. Now I can Control Enter and copy it down and then across. And here if I check for the C front, it's taking 210 and adding $90, which is correct. So same thing we can do using the shortcut method by using only one formula and copying it across automatically. I select the full cell range like this, and then I can type the formula D5 into D4, and then I fix the mixed cell referencing. And then the second cell reference I fix using F4. And then after that, I can press Control Enter. And I got the whole range copied, and last cell also is correct. So here we have another example. We have a company's product sales for quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, like that, for 4 quarters, for 4 products. And here we have calculated the total sales. Now here on this table over here, we want to calculate the percentages of these products out of total sales. For example, if I take the first one, quarter 1, product 1, that is out of the total sales, the percentage is 17%. So same thing, I need to calculate the sales of each product and each quarter as a percentage of the total sales into this table. So to do that, so let's again select the whole range like this and type the first formula. Total sales. And then if we take E4, this is the product and product 1, quarter 1 sales. So this will, the letter E will need to change when we go to different quarters. And the product, which is in row 4, will need to change into other rows when we copy it down. So E4, we will not be fixing any of the cell references. If I go to I4, where we got the total sales, so the total sales is always on the I column. And it needs to change into different rows from 4, 5, 6 like that when you go to different products. So what we need to do here is, if I press F4, we need to fix only the letter I. So like this, I have only fixed the letter I. 4 is not fixed. So that is the mixed cell reference I need to apply. So again, since I have already selected the area and entered the formula, I can just press Control Enter. And all of the formulas are done. If I check the last one, so it's taking product 4, quarter 4 sale divided by total quarter 4 sales. So that percentage is correct. So all of the middle calculation should be correct as well. Now let's look at a final example. Here we are going to calculate the revenues forecast for a company, and then the expenses forecast, and then the net profit forecast for a company. So in this company, the January revenue is 50,000 and the revenue growth rate is 5% per month. So we type 50 cell reference, we can link it here for the first month, and then it's going to grow by 5%. So we can do C3 into 1 plus C15, fix the cell reference and copy it across. So we got the revenue forecast done. Then when we calculate the expenses, we are given the assumptions over here. It says expense 1 is as a percentage of revenue 17%. And then for expense 2, it's 12% and so on. So if you calculate the first expense, it is revenue January into the percentage of expense 1, 17%. So that is the formula we need to type in here. So if we were to copy it down and across, we need to do the mixed cell referencing. So let's look at the first cell reference, C3. So if you take C3, when we copy it across, the cell reference column number C needs to change. But 3, where the revenue is located, row number 3, needs to be fixed. So what we'll do is we will fix that using F4. So we put a dollar in front of the 3 only. Then if you take the reference C16, which is the percentage of the expense. So here we got C, and always see the column C is where you got the expense percentage given. So when we copy across, it need not change. It needs to be fixed. But the row number 16 needs to change when we go into different expense items. So we will use a F4 key to fix the dollar in front of the C letter. And then we can press Control Enter. And then we can copy it down and copy it across. We can also use the Control Enter method by selecting all of these cells and entering the function formula over here and pressing Control Enter. So here, if we check the total expenses, this is the total expenses. And if you come to the last cell here and check for expense item 6, is taking the May sales that month and then multiplying by expense 6 5%. So it's correct. So all of the formulas in between that we have copied the formula into will be also correct. Then here we are calculating net profit as revenue minus total expenses. So we have the monthly forecast done for all 5 months over here.
Thanks for watching.